Hello everyone and welcome back to Atman Unlimited. I figured I'd make a quick talking Swarf video while I had a moment. We were running a whole bunch of parts the last couple of weeks. Been really busy. So I got an email from a viewer a couple of months ago and I've been meaning to share this. I asked him if I could share this, with everybody on the channel. And the reason why I wanted to share this is I've had people ask me why I do this, and this is why I do this. So let me read this email for you. Hi Tim, I wanted you to know how much your videos have helped me. I was a high school history teacher for 4 years. At 30, I decided to change careers, and I'm currently in the final semester of a 2-year college program on machining, CAD, and CAM. June of last year, I was offered an internship paid for by the school. 3 weeks into the internship, the guy I was to work under walked out, and I was suddenly in the deep end. So this gentleman decided to change careers, went to school, got an internship, and then his mentor at the internship quit. The shop is a small job shop with a press department. They were bought out by a fairly large metal manufacturer out of Michigan, and I had been struggling trying to get things on track. Hiring a new machinist/programmer wasn't an option. I knew I had an opportunity, so I started doing homework on how to run the 2 Fidel VMCs, a 4020 and a 6030. Then I found your YouTube channel. So if you're not familiar, the Fidel 3060 is one of the largest machines Fidel makes. I think there's one larger. I think the 8030 is the largest one. But the 6030 is quite a beast. I mean, the table is almost 5 foot by 3 foot. So it's a large machine. In the last 3 months, the shop has went from nearly being shut down to the owners discussing buying a new machine. I truly believe the things I learned from you were a major contributor, and major was capitalized, contributing factor in our small shop remaining open. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to share what you know with a bunch of strangers. And then he goes on to, thank me. Well, I don't consider everybody out there a bunch of strangers. We're all people living, working, trying to get by. So if I can help, I'm going to help. I enjoy helping. It's kind of just who I am. So I greatly appreciate this email, and this was from Ray. But what I have to add, and I replied to Ray like this, is that while, yeah, I made a bunch of videos and I put a bunch of information out there, that information is only valuable if it's utilized and utilized correctly. So, Ray and Ray's coworkers took the initiative to learn and do and apply information they found from various sources. I'm sure I'm not the only source. And by the hard work and, getting it done, they were able, to keep their shop open. I don't think I had a major part in it. I just made a couple of videos. But it's the hard work of Ray and the people around him that kept the shop open. So that's really cool. And that's why I do this. So everybody met Brian in the ball bar calibration video. That's basically what Brian did for me. So I bought this machine to make my dive light parts. I showed the dive light part in the a little bit about me in my white whale video. So my white whale is akin to the Moby Dick novel of that one whale that kept getting away. And, I've been working on that dive light for 10 years on and off. It's just been my project. And I needed a way to make parts, so that's why I bought this machine. Well, this machine was way more than I expected. I was expecting a machine that I could just run parts on. And as you saw from my other videos of, rebuilding this machine, that was by far not what I bought. And Brian sat down and had lunch with me probably 3 or 4 days a week for about 6 months straight. And he was an excellent teacher, and every day we would discuss what my next steps were and the issues that I was having. And he would never really truly give me the answers, but he would put me on a path. And then I would go home and I would experiment and I would try. And then I would solve some problems and yet run into new ones. So then on the next day we'd go have lunch again and I'd be like, "Oh, Brian, that was really cool. What we talked about yesterday worked, but now I'm seeing this." And we would discuss it and, discuss what I was seeing and how it interacts with everything. So, Brian took a significant amount of his time to go through and teach me. And I want to pay that forward to everybody else. And, I tend to have a pretty good ability to convey a pretty complex topic. I kind of learned that over my career by having other people convey to me very complex topics of my other, daily work. So that's why I do this, and I'm having fun doing it. And emails like this are just confirmation that this isn't a waste of time. This is definitely worth the time and effort. Granted, I'm not getting rich off of it, and I never intended to. And you're not going to see me, complaining about YouTube AdSense and all the other stuff that some other channels are complaining about. My channel's not even monetized. I am very grateful for the people that do help support the channel, and that's where I see the value. When somebody voluntarily contacts me and say, "Tim, you helped me out so much. I'd like to try to contribute," and that has happened quite a bit. So all the materials and tooling that I've used to make some of the stuff that you've seen on the channel, the play buttons and stuff, that has come out of funds, from viewers contributing or buying shirts. So we sell the Atman Unlimited shirts, and then people are sending me stuff. So I had a viewer, Rob. He sent me an email and said, "Hey, what's your address? I got a care package for you." Well, he sent me an entire flat rate box full of tooling. And if you could feel how heavy this is about 90% carbide. So, you understand how expensive carbide tooling is. There's a lot of tooling in here. So I am very grateful for that. He actually sent a mill that we're going to need for one of our upcoming projects. So that's pretty cool of Rob. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. So, this has been fun. It's been constructive and productive. So we're gonna keep going. I've got so many topics to talk about, and I get emails from people asking me to talk about topics. Please, if I haven't done it yet, please don't feel like I'm ignoring you. I have a huge list that I have an ongoing thing that I'm trying to cross off. So just some things coming up. We still got the moisture separator for my compressor that I want to machine. The design is done. It's all modeled. I just got to figure out how to make it. It really is a lathe part for the tube. I mean, it's a 10-inch long tube with threads on each end. But I'm going to try to mill it. We'll see what happens. It's only aluminum, so it shouldn't be that bad. So we got that part to make. I finished designing the battery canister for the dive light. So the dive light itself is pretty much done. I found some new connectors for it that I want to incorporate, so we might have to redesign, the top housing to integrate the new connector. So we'll have to machine one of those. So that's going to be coming up. And then we have tons and tons of machine maintenance videos still to do. So in last year, and I can't believe it's been a year, so I think May 5th will be a year that we've been doing the YouTube channel. And we've done so many topics in the last year, and it's been so much fun. So last year we concentrated mainly on the mechanics of the machine. I think in the next coming year I want to switch over and concentrate on the electrical and control. As much as it is important for the mechanics and alignment and repair, and those videos have been pretty successful in my opinion, and they've been very helpful to people. I think even more people have a hard time when it comes to the electrical and the electronics, and I have the fortunate ability that I know how all the electronics work. I know how motor drives work. I've helped, make motor drives, and part of my job is coding motor drives. So, I'm a good resource for that. So, I want to move into the electricals. So we're going to talk about all the different types of motors that you're going to run into inside these machines, all the way from stepper motors that you'll see on the personal CNC machines and the smaller machines, to the permanent magnet synchronous motors, or more commonly called brushless DC motors. They're not really DC, they're AC motors, they're just brushless. And then we'll talk about induction motors and how they're controlled. That's what your spindles typically on a larger machine. You got an induction motor. Even the small personal machines, they'll use induction motors for the spindles. I want to do more Fidel specific videos. So the tool offset setting video is actually the most viewed video on the channel, and I still get questions about that. People get a little bit confused even watching the video. So I want to make a little bit more detailed video on tool setting and actually go through each step in the process. Format 1 versus Format 2 in Fidel, that's another one that comes up a lot. So, we have tons of content, left to cover. We're not going to get stale yet. At some point this is going to come to an end. We're going to run out of topics. Just like everything else. Every single show in history has a beginning, a middle, and the end. I don't even think we're at the middle yet. But we do have tons and tons of topics to go over. We got more parts to make. I know some people like watching ships fly. Some people like, the educational things. So I'm going to try to keep it mixed up. If you don't really necessarily care for a video that I make, don't watch it. I try to appease the masses. I know I'm not going to make everybody happy, but we'll mix it up a little bit. So if you've been watching for the last year, I greatly appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. If you've contributed to the channel, thank you so much. It is greatly appreciated. Every little bit helps. I've been meaning to try to upgrade the camera and maybe get a better GoPro, but as you see in the videos that I've made, I've been dumping a lot of money investing into the machine. Ball screws, motor rebuild, this stuff isn't cheap, and then still, the cost of the machine and everything else. So I want to try to get the stuff, but I'm also trying to spend the money wisely and as best I can. The spindle is still a question. I think we might just be able to adjust the preload on the spindle and call it good. We're going to look at that a little more closely. We thought we might need bearings in the spindle, but it's looking like it was mainly just the spindle drive motor. So that video is coming out soon. I just got to edit it. It's a lot of editing when you do those very long, day-long maintenance videos where you've got, 4, 6, 8 hours of footage to weed through and cut it down into, 15 or 20 minutes. So it takes a lot of time to do those videos. So that's what's coming up. And again, Ray, nice job. Thank you for the wonderful praise that you gave me, but, I really don't deserve that. You deserve that, for doing the work. But I greatly appreciate the email and reaching out to us. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next videos.